Welcome to another edition of the Rural Reflections Colin Dave podcast, co-hosted by my brother Dave Nelson in Carrington, North Dakota, and me, Grant Nelson, here at the studios at Thief River Falls Radio. Dave, it's a beautiful sunshiny day here. How about for you?
Yeah, I think it's our first day of spring here.
Yeah, feels like it. It really feels like it. It feels like we got some sunshine, warm temps. I'm just in t-shirt today, and I was up north for a little while, and there's actually a lot of people out digging the ground and air seeding, doing all kinds of stuff. How about out there?
Well, we're just getting started here. So yesterday it kind of broke loose, you could tell, and today more so. So yeah, we're getting started. We haven't done much yet, but
I suppose everybody had a little extra time to get ready though now, so maybe there'll be less breakdowns, or does that have any effect at all?
I think the big thing is the weather and the wet yards. I don't think people are any more ready this year than any other year, actually, because it wasn't decent weather to work outside, and they couldn't really move around the yard. I've heard people talk about having their shops full of equipment that they couldn't get out because they knew if they drove across their yards, they'd get stuck.
That's pretty wet. Hey, I was going to ask you, too, I know we had talked last week about your one ethanol plant that was putting out hand sanitizer. How hard is that to get? It seems like up around here we've been having some problems getting hand sanitizer.
Well, they probably have sold it all. I don't know.
Okay.
We ordered it when it was first available, and it took about a week to get it. And actually, one of our stores drove to Castleton to pick up 6 gallons of it for the different places because they were just about out and they didn't know if they'd have enough to ship anymore that day. So they had them pulled some and they went and picked it up. So it's probably getting short. They had, I believe they said they brewed a batch of 270,000 gallons. And I'm sure that no matter how bad it stinks and how much it burns on your hands, everybody wanted it, and it was the only thing out there. So I'm sure they probably sold it all by now.
You know, I remember I took a sniff of it when we were out there a couple weeks ago, and it smelled like a combination of corn whiskey and maybe what used to come out of the silo when we were younger, and we used to put corn silage up in the silo.
Yeah, that's probably just exactly what it smelled like.
How has it been going out there? Are you now in the last couple of weeks here, last couple of days, I found out that they're going to have one Trails to Treatments ride in September, and that's still going on. And there's been a couple of other events that look like they're going to hold steady, even though our county fairs have pretty much all been canceled. What's the situation out in Carrington area? Are they still canceling everything, or is there some fall stuff that's going to stay on schedule, or have you heard anything?
There's some fall things, I think, that are pending, but it all depends on what happens over the next couple months. Most everything as far as summer has been canceled. Our state fair has been canceled, and our state fair is fairly early. It's the end of July. So, it's really hard to partially cancel something like that because, all the big acts, they come for the state fair. We want to know for sure that there's going to be people there or that they're going to have a guarantee. And, of course, the fair wants to know that the band is going to come. And so there was quite a bit of indecision as to whether the bands even wanted to come. So they canceled the whole thing.
North Dakota State Fair, that would be up in Minot, isn't it?
Yes. And I believe they've even canceled the Huss Fest.
Yes, they did. What is Charlie Pride going to do during Norse Kustfest time? He'll just have to stay at home, I suppose.
I suppose him and Bureau Holland are going to have to visit with each other. I don't know.
That's exactly right. I forgot. They have Bureau Holland there, too. Let's talk a little bit about tractors. I just got fresh back from a tractor run. Looking at an M, now it was, I'd say probably a 49 or 50, somewhere in there. It wasn't a Super M, it's a regular M. but it had power steering, which had been added on, and then had also had factory live hydraulics that ran the F11 loader. It had originally come with a PTO pump, but he had taken that off because, of course, it's not live PTO. And it even had the side pulley driver, so you know it's a little bit older M. But it was in pretty nice shape, and it looked pretty good. And, you know, of course, I'm a sucker for an M. I think if I were to buy this one, I think it'd be my third one. And I've always been kind of, I don't know, sentimental for the Farmall M because, of course, we grew up with that, you know?
Yeah, that's for sure. They're something we had plenty of experience from. It claimed a lot of my hearing. So.
Yeah, that's true because we'd run it without the muffler sometimes, and it was extremely loud. I remember my first M that I had, I took the muffler and I had for wintertime, and then I ran it on a flexible pipe and pointed it at the carburetor because they were notorious for icing up whenever it got cold.
Yeah, they were. I tried to convince Dad to do that somehow differently.
Yep.
I wanted him to hook the intake up and draw the warm air into the motor off of the muffler. But he took the other way around and just pointed the exhaust gas at the carburetor, and it worked. It just kind of smoked up that side of the engine a little bit. But
yeah, and it was nice and loud also. You know, I did take your advice, though, when I had the M. You told me about that, too. And I ended up taking what was an old probably a 5 or an 8 gallon bucket for milk, and I cut a hole in one end, put it over the muffler, capped the bottom, and then I ran a flexible hose from that to the intake, and that did work wonderfully. I mean, once I had enough air intakes to pull enough air, because there's a fair amount of airflow that has to come in there, and at first I didn't have enough airflow, but I had to cut a little bit bigger hole, and that worked really nice. I never had carb ice problems after that.
Yeah, they were notorious for that. I think with that long intake tube, it just, wherever it was vaporizing at it would frost, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it just...
frost sometime.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave.
I said they would even frost in the summertime.
Yeah, I think that, like you say, the long tube, it's exposed to so much air and has so long a period of time to cool down. I think that was a big part of it. Now, this M today, none of them ever have the cushion on, but you can always pick one of those up fairly inexpensively. Ran nice, started up good, and it seems like your experiences may vary depending on who you are with an M as far as starting that engine up. I know the one M that I had, it started up great, but Dad's always seemed to have so much problem to get that to consistently start nice, even with the 6-volt. Even with the 12-volt on the first one that I had, it was a little bit fussy. But with the 6-volt starter, it always seemed to be really fussy.
Yeah, I can still hear them cranking, It was just a rrr, rrr, and about the third rrr, they would fire up and run. But that was a big issue with them, was getting them to turn over. That was pretty high displacement engine for a little old 6-volt starter,
Yep. And heaven help you if you were too heavy-handed on the choke. I looked at another M, or I was going to look at it, and I saw a picture of it, and the air intake had been pulled off the carb, and I thought, oh, no, I'm not going to deal with that again. I'm not going to have to pull the air intake off and dry it out over and over again, because that's the one that Dad's was, I'd had that experience every once in a while with that one.
Oh, yeah, that's why that little hole is in the bottom of the carburetor. That's so that extra gas can drain out.
It is.
Yeah, there's a little felt wick and a plug and a hole in the bottom of the carburetor, and if it floods the intake tube there, it'll drip out over time, and it maybe won't dry the whole engine out, but at least we'll get the quart of fluid that's in there out of there.
That's about what it is too. I've pulled that pipe off before and been deluged. Well, we'll have to see what happens. I'm kind of leaning towards it. I don't use a tractor much anymore, so I'll probably sell off my diesel and get that one. But I'll have to let you know what happens in the future, Dave. You got anything else for us today?
Oh, I guess not. We're just enjoying the nice day for a change. So hopefully we get a whole bunch of them.
That'd be all right by me, too. Well, we'll talk to you next week there, Dave.
All right, see you, Grant.
Bye-bye. There he is, my brother Dave Nelson, co-hosting Rural Reflections. Colin Dave from Carrington. I'm Grant Nelson, the other half of the co-hosting team here at Thief River Falls Radio.